Hello, 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 hello. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is Life on a Budget with D. This is the channel where I share with you, well, my life on a budget. Today's video is going to be a monthly reset for the month of December. And with the month coming up and also the new year is coming up, can you imagine that, you guys? We have made it to the last month of 2022. And to be honest with you guys, I just want to say goodbye, 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 goodbye. Do you remember where that came from? Do y'all remember Yo Gabba Gabba? I remember me watching that show with my girls when they were younger. I used to love that show. I ain't gonna lie. I used to watch for myself too. So today I am going to be switching out my, I don't know if you can hear me because sometimes when I listen to the video, I be talking away from the phone and I sound far. I used to using this binder for the year 2022, and this is the last month that I'll be using this notebook. I'm saying goodbye to it, and I'm going to be introducing my new book. And I've changed the color of this format, and I added some things new to my budget sheet here. I spruced this up. This color scheme has changed. I'm going to introduce to you to something that I have discovered in the process of helping my budget client, and in the process of helping her solve her budgeting problems, I am also benefited from it. So let me get into it and give you a breakdown on how I do my budget. Okay, so before I get into what I have discovered helping my client, I am going to give you an overview of how my brain operates when it comes to my budgeting method on a monthly basis. Okay, so right here, I created a little presentation. I know, are you one of those people who watch people's phone batteries when they see pictures and stuff, and you see that the battery life? I do that all the time. I'm like, why your battery low? And I see that and it's bothering me. 25%. But anyways. All right. So this is my presentation for my budgeting method this is how my brain process budgeting on a monthly basis. I start off by budgeting for the month, and I plan out my month. I also use my monthly budget sheet, and I use a calendar where I track paydays, due dates, and I also track my budgeting schedule on that calendar. And then step 2, I break down my inflow sources. And when I mean break down my inflow sources, meaning that each inflow sources is responsible for paying a bill or an expense or a portion of a bill and expense. And I came up with that concept because of the fluctuating income I had back in the day, even still similar today. And I had to make sure that I distinguish which inflow source will be responsible for what. This also come in handy when it comes to if you get like child support payments. I always recommend with child support payments that only variable expense item, anything that does not have a due date to it, is used for any child support, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to be a good citizen and pay your bills on time, and the person that you're relying on for payment, or it could also be the child support office, delay payment because of holidays and stuff like that. So you just don't want to be in that kind of situation. So I would not use child support for fixed expenses. So that's a reason why I would do that. So I have to identify which income will be responsible for what. Number 3, I budget by paycheck and deposit. And what I mean by that is that I take the inflow source and I take each paycheck that I get from that inflow source, and I then assign it to be responsible for a bill or expense or a portion of a bill or expense. That's what I do. Then once I determine each bill, Once I determine each paycheck that will be responsible for what and which inflow source that will be responsible for what, I then give myself a visual aid on a calendar and I map it out so I can see a holistic view of what's going to happen for each week for that month. Once I do that, I then will budget for the week and I just focus on that week for the time being. So that is my flow and my thought process. What I like about my budgeting philosophy or my budgeting resource that I use in my budget planner is that each document can work individually on its own, but they work collectively as a whole. And I love that aspect of my sheets. Other things that I do for the month, in days or weeks, whatever, I track my expenses weekly. I update my bill and expense tracker monthly. I update my monthly asset and review sheet weekly. I update my saving and spending tracker weekly. I check on my credit score monthly, and I balance my checkbook monthly as well. So I do all these things every month because I like to be on top of my finances. And now I'm going to show you my new budget planner. Dun 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 dun. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she beautiful? You guys, I was so excited. I have been scavenger hunting for a couple of months to find a black and gold budget planner cover. And I normally go to Hobby Lobbies for my Happy Planner supplies, but this time around, Hobby Lobby didn't have what I was looking for. I think I tried Michael and I couldn't find anything black and white, but I went to Joann, which I didn't know was still a thing. Joann had some Happy Planner supplies there. And I was so happy that not only was the color scheme exactly what I was looking for, the theme is exactly what I'm here for. So in the past, I created my budget. I keep on revising my budget to reflect what I want in life and how I budget. I don't normally budget with my bills in mind first, but more so my personal goals. So as you can see here, it says create a life you love. And I say, that's what's up. That is what's up. And I'm going to give you a little tour. Now, I'm still currently working on my annual budget. I take the last 3 months of the year, which is the last quarter of the year, and I call that my financial quarter. And what I plan on doing in the future, especially in this year coming up, is that I'm identifying each quarter for a goal that is important for me. Finance will be one quarter, fitness will be another quarter, career, family, something like that. Like each quarter will have its own particular focus within those 3 months time span. And that allows me to have seasons to take care of what I need to take care of and feel like every area of my life is not neglected. I came up with this idea because after doing my annual budget for the last 3 years, I believe. I did it last year and the year before. The last 3 years, focusing on planning for the year, each quarter, it gives me a sense of purpose and something to look forward to. So the very best thing about budgeting is that, number one, it will slowly help you with time management. Number two, it will give you a sense of purpose for some reason. Like you start to realize that your finances reflect what's important to you. And when you start to see those numbers on a document, you have to reflect them like, is it what I want it to reflect? If it doesn't reflect, you can change that, So I love budgeting because it's like an internal self-reflection. The numbers don't lie. That's the best part. Because when you write in a journal, you can write anything about yourself, about what you feel and how you feel about that moment or whatever. But the numbers if the numbers agree with your true assessment about yourself, then you know you're telling yourself the truth. If it doesn't, it might be a little discrepancy. I went on a tangent right there, but I digress. So let me get into showing you my budget planner for the year 2023 before I get into my monthly budget. We're gonna do like a little quick scan through because I'm not trying to keep you long. This video might be a little long because this is a monthly reset, but we'll see how it goes. I normally call my budget planner the Black Swan Spinning Playbook, and the reason why it is called the Black Swan Spinning Playbook is because before the pandemic came, I had my own personal pandemic. I had my own life event. So a black swan, I'm paraphrasing the meaning, is an event, a financial event that is so rare, but it will be life-changing financially for, you know, I guess the economy, the people, and everything like that. And a lot of people probably didn't prepare for it. So I had my black swan event in my personal life. So when the pandemic came, financially, it had nothing on me, to be honest. It didn't, because I already had to deal with my own financial discrepancy. So that's why I call it the black swan, because I'm always in preparation mode. This budget planner is all about preparation and readiness. Again, I like to call myself a budget pro, and that stands for preparation and readiness officer, because my goal with my money is to always be ready and prepared. I'm not always good at it. I am, you know, perfecting it as I go, make mistakes, learn, etc. You know. So I created my budgeting philosophy right here, and I have a list of things that I live by, that I have it written down right here, hoping that in the future that if anything was to happen to me, my girls would know exactly how I think when it comes to my money. I'm still learning more stuff about money, but this right now as it stands, I have my own budgeting philosophy, my do's and don't with my finances, and that's that. And then look at this, you guys, look at this. It says create a life you can't wait to wake up to, feeling the vibe. And I don't know, something about this black and that white popping out just make me feel like we ready, you know. I just love it. And then I go through this whole motion of doing my past letter of gratitude, future letter, present letter of gratitude towards myself. Then I do a SWOT analysis and a SMART goal setting so that I can prepare for next year and what I want to accomplish. I normally choose 3 different goals for the year. So in case I don't achieve one, I have at least 2 others that I can. You know, the goal is to make sure I achieve one. But if I could achieve all 3, that's fantastic. I'm just giving myself room for success, you know. After that, I do like an expense inventory about all my bills and that is required, an expense that I know of. I still have to add more to it because my sinking funds. Here I have to finish this. This is my due period grouping renewal date, and I call this renewal, and this is due dates because renewal happens biannually, annually, semi-annually, and quarterly. And due dates happens more frequent, like monthly, bi-weekly, and weekly. So that's that. I gotta finish that. This is my favorite sheet. Okay, you guys. This sheet right here is my expense category organization, and this sheet is my count organization delegation sheet. Yay. And what I use these 2 sheets for is to organize my thoughts. I love to organize my thought because when it's not organized, I do this, and I don't like feeling like that. I don't like that. No. So this category is based on expense categories, of course, and then I list all the items that will fall under that category. So when I start tracking my spending, I know how I'm going to identify that expense. When over here, I have multiple bank accounts, and how my brain is set up is that there's certain money that cannot touch each other. So I identify the different bank accounts that will be used and what items will be going into those bank accounts. So this helped me to organize my money in case I forget what account I say the items will go into. I have it here, and I love it. And I love these 2 sheets. They're the best. The next sheet here is my sinking fund and saving brainstorming sheet. It's called Think Your Way to 100. This is the opportunity to not be limited based on your finances, but dream as big as your heart can desire. And you would think of all the goals you potentially could ever want in your life. And you'll write it down. You'll write down how much it will cost to maintain that goal, etc. And I love this activity because I like the fact that it doesn't limit me based on what I currently have, but my mind is rich with an imagination that one day I can see myself achieving those things. So I think my way to 100. The goal is just to expand your heart desire, and you don't have to get all the way to 100, but the goal is to not stop until you do. And if you're not able to, at least you have a list of things and desires that you have in mind. So in that way, if you happen to get extra money and you're like, I don't know what to do with this extra money, I don't know what to put this money towards, you can look at this document and say, hey, what about that thing I always said I want? You know, I'm gonna put that extra money that I didn't know was gonna get to that thing. So in that way, you won't feel like your money is being wasted. Have you ever experienced a time where you got extra money and you were like, oh, this extra money, I'm gonna splurge out of control. And then a month or so later, you were like, oh man, I had that money. I forgot I had to pay this and I forgot I had to do that with that. Man, have you ever been in that situation? I have, and I hate it. So I try my best to not forget. And then these pages for me to do how my money looks now and how I want it to look later. Not going into that. That's more stuff to that I can't get in. Quarterly notes and my non-monthly expense at a glance. I love this sheet. Every month before I do my budget, I look at this sheet. For the month of December, I have to go back into my old binder since we're here right now and we're getting prepared to go budget the month of December. Let's see what I have here. I have my daughter's contact of $103, which I have that already completed, so that's good to go. So that's the last thing. It's the end of Q4. Just can you believe this? Oh my gosh. And I should have put some more stuff on there before, but I did it for this year. I have her contacts. Thanksgiving. Our family do not celebrate Thanksgiving in November. We do everything in December. So I have this here to remind myself what is coming up, to verify, especially if I get extra money, what I could put money to. I love this setting. It's good to go. So now we're going to go into my new setup for my monthly. So you guys, I changed the color scheme for my monthly bills. As you can see, you kind of got a glimpse of it back here with the green. If I could find it. Yeah, with the green here. I originally had white and I was like, man, I really cannot see that. And I turned it to black on the other pages and I can't see that either. I was trying to get my colors to be close to this, but I forgot I got to see. So this month, the reason why I start using my new budgeting planner for this month is because I'm basically preparing for next year. So I'm trying it out to see how I'm going to like it. So this is the first page. As you can see, the color is different. I just am loving the vibe with this green and this gold and this. I just loving it. It's just too dark to see the letters that are there. The wording that is there. My categories: inflow, top priorities, savings, insurance, essential bills, non-essential bills, essential expenses, non-essential expenses, future bills, future expenses, extra bets, which stands for bills, expenses, debt, and savings, or savings, and then support. Support is basically, I didn't go through all of them, but support is basically breathing room and giving myself permission to give. There's 3 ways to give: to lend, to invest, and to donate. So I like to give myself a parameter around giving so that I am a good giver and a cheerful giver rather than feeling like I'm obligated to give. I plan for giving even when I pay my tithe up here. So I still have this. I changed the color from this is my inflow sheet where I break down all my inflow sources. Then after I break down my inflow sources, then I budget by paycheck or pay period or, deposits. This sheet used to be gold. It is no gold. It is not gold anymore. I decided to do the black and white with the green on the top, and I think it looks better. That's good. I have a note page as usual. Then I have my second calendar. This is called my paycheck / deposit calendar. And I use my paycheck deposit assignment sheet to fill this out. Then I budget for the week. And I have 5 sheets for that, especially for the month of December, because this is a golden month. And then this is going into my ledgers. And most budget planners use expense tracker, and I use ledgers. The reason why I use ledgers is because there's always a story behind why I do what I do. Okay, back in the day, I had to use a check, and I had to take money out of my savings account and use it into my checking account, but I only had checks for that particular account. So when I put the money inside of the bank account, I forgot how much I had in there to take care of my usual expenses for the month. So I had to go through this whole thing with it. And I said, oh my goodness, it is important to budget your accounts or balance your checkbook. And it seemed like most budget planners do not help people to balance their checkbook. It only track expenses, but it don't track what's actually happening in the account. So I am a person who budget by accounts. And the reason why I do that, let's say you have $800 and you wrote a check for $400. You and that person who received the check know that $400 is about to come out. The only person who doesn't know is the bank. The bank will only discover that that check is going to be cash is when that person cashed that check. And this is where a lot of people get in trouble with overdraft fees and stuff, because they're not keeping records of what they're doing with their money. And a lot of people prefer just to use all cash so they won't have that situation, but not all situation you're able to use all cash. That's why it's important to know how to balance your checkbook and keep track. I had also another incident where I paid rent in 1 month and the money came out 2 months later. So that was double the dip of rent in 1 month. So let's pretend that rent is, let's for the sake of illustration, rent is $200. I bet a lot of people are like, I wish rent was $200. Rent is $200 for 1 month, and the next month, and then the person decides not to cash it within that same month. Then the next month, they decide to cash both check, and that's $400 instead of $200 coming out. I was ready for that because I have already subtracted it according to my records. So my ledger and my bank account always agree. So that's why I am a person who budget by accounts, because I'm kind of old-fashioned. I balance my checkbook. Okay? Before I go into my budget for the month, I am going to introduce you to something that I discovered while I was in the process of helping my budgeting client. So my budget client came to me because she needed help with her irregular income. Most of the time when people say they have irregular income, it's normally large commissions and large checks that you have to, distribute over a long period of time. But her situation was a little bit different, maybe a lot bit different. It wasn't the usual irregular income. Her income, after I saw her 3 to 6 months bank statement, which takes a long time for me to go through because I go line by line by line by line. That is tedious work. Tedious. It was a lot of work. But I do it to understand and feel the rhythm of the person's transaction, just to feel the rhythm. Because it's one thing when someone tells you what they think is going on, but like I said, the numbers don't lie. It does not. No. So as I'm doing her her, what I call this, I call a comb through her transactions, I start to notice a pattern. She have bursts of payment here, and then the next day she have multiple installment payments there. Like, she was getting paid multiple times in a day. One day, the next day probably won't get nothing, the next day she'll get something. Like, it was sporadic. And I got intimidated originally because I said, I have budget for all kinds of situation. I had never budget a daily income. What is this? What is this? But don't fret. Don't fret. I had to come up with a solution. I had to do a little woo-saw because this woman came to me for my help, and I am going to help. I have figured it out because I had to take a woo-saw and had to ask myself, if this was my money and if this was my situation, how would I handle this? And if you a person who deals with this same type of situation, I might just have a solution. Now, I have 2 steps of what you could do for the time being as you transition, And let me just tell you, the reason why I say I did discover it while in the process of helping my client, but I had slowly discovered after I came up with the concept that it's already a thing. And it's already a thing in the business world. And I'm going to show you after I show you my first step of how I came up with the idea of how to handle irregular income when they come in small installments. So the first step, I said I will use a calendar, and I will write how many installments I made in that day and tally it up. And then at the end of the month, at the end of the week, I apologize. Then I will see how much money I accumulated for that week. And then I will use the amount that I have received for that week to start budgeting for the next week. So that's how I would have handled it, because you cannot budget an income if you don't know how much you really have. So that was my solution until I start asking myself this question: what if I want to know how much money I spent in one day? So I said there has to be a way where you can track income and expenses on a daily basis. And you guys, this is what I came up with. I'm going to show you what I came up with, you guys. Now, like I told you, I came up with this on my own and then discovered that it is already a thing. And I just thought I was so smart. But I am, because I discovered it on my own. Ta-da! Listen, do you see it? Do you see it? Can you feel my excitement? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? How this sheet work? Okay, so I originally created this document on a Google spreadsheet because my client and I are not in the same state, so I do everything online for now. Well, because I have to. So my goal is, like I said, that my client got paid multiple times in one day, and we needed to accumulate how much that is, so at the end of the week we can tally up how much that income is, so that she can start using that and start budgeting for the next week. And I created a section right here for expenses, to verify how much time transactions are happening throughout the day. Now, this is normally used in the small business world, and I am introducing it into the personal budgeting world, like your personal finance world. And I'm like, y'all small business people knew about this, and you didn't think that people want to use it for their own? Are you kidding me? Every time I do a video, my phone is about to die. Let me continue. So they kept this to themselves. And I said, I was going to let her, I'm going to introduce this for her to track her money for her business, but I wanted to use this to track my personal finances and my category. Like I told you earlier, I budget by account. So sometimes it'll be hard to budget for a category because it's in a certain account. But with this, I can easily break down each spending category and tally it up here. and I can see it, and it will help me for my monthly overview, or I should say my annual overview when it comes to my expenses. Now, the difference from the other daily and income tracker planners is that they don't give a line for you to identify the month. They don't give you a line to identify the year, and they don't give you a line to identify the pay period, because the only way this can really help you is if you create your own pay period to determine when you're going to pay yourself. Like, I have a whole little system of how I will handle irregular income, especially if I got paid daily. I like a whole system that I came up with. So they don't have those things up there. They do have like one or two lines to write notes. However, I just created 2 boxes after I saw what they did. Not after I saw what they did. I created these boxes before I saw what they did. I don't know if I'm making sense, but you get the gist. And then right here we start with this the starting balance, the income and expense for last week and this week, and the ending balance and the rollover balance for last week and this week. And I love this sheet, and I am going to use it for myself as well. So in the process of me helping my client, I also am helping myself. And I already have my set printed, and I was so mad when I hole punch on the wrong side. I was so mad. Anyways. So I have it set up for the month of December. I have designated my pay period starts from Saturday and ends on Friday. So I have this right here blank. Most of the ones that are made like this, they don't come blank. They come with Monday through Sunday. Like, they already pre-dated for you. But in the budgeting world and with the planner world, some people just like to have their freedom to date their own things. I know there's some people, they wish it was already pre-dated or but it gives everybody room to identify when they're going to start their pay period. So that's what I did. I leave the top blank so I can identify the day and the dates. And my December first week pay period will start November 26th and end on the 2nd of December. And that's how I'm going to identify my pay periods. That's how I always identify my pay periods. And this is so cool. I can't wait. I did a transaction today, so I can't wait to use it. And I love this. So if everything goes well with this, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to reformat my budget planner. And it's so good because I am starting the new year fresh. You understand? So right now I have my budget by week, pay week, and my cash breakdown back to back for each week. But what's going to happen is that this is going to be a spread, and then this will happen next. Spread, next spread. Spread, next spread. So in that way, everything that's pertaining to this week will be together. You understand what I'm saying? It will be together. So I'm so excited to use this. I'm going to see if I'm going to just list categories and then track it each day. But what if you do 3 of the same categories in one day? That might be hard. So that means I might have to use the highlighting method, and I have to identify the color for each category. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, you guys. So I'm excited to try this new method of budgeting, my daily income and expense tracker. And I have brought it into the personal finance world instead of the business finance world. So I think this is a game changer. And the reason why I say that, so if you are a married couple, I think that this sheet will, if y'all both are business owner, they would need their own booklet for their business to use this. But when it comes to their personal household, they will bring in their income together and identify their way of getting paid, and then they can identify what's going on with their money. That's if both spouses are irregular income. Did you see that? That was a squirrel moment. Every time I love listening to that ice cream truck song because for some reason it reminds me of Jennifer Lopez. Tonight we gonna get on the floor. It reminds me of that song all the time when they come down the street. You know, I don't know. But yeah, you guys, I'm going to test this out, see how it will work. Let me know, comment below if you would be interested in using this method for your household, especially if you're irregular with your income. This might be a game changer, and especially if you get small installments a day. Like say you're a server at a restaurant and you get tips and stuff like that, you get to identify how much money you made in tips, how much you made for that day, and then you'll use that money to start budgeting for the next week because you have to accumulate it. After at least a quarter or every 90 days or 3 months, then you can assess what is the routine of how much money you actually make every month. You can see the consistency. You could probably even wait 6 months to have a real hard number, and then you can start budgeting for the month based on what research you have gathered from your income being paid on a daily basis. I hope that was helpful for you. So now I'm going to go into budgeting for the month of December. So before I do that, I just introduced you to my new budget planner. I introduced you to my new color scheme, and I introduced you to my new daily income and expense tracker sheet. And now we are getting into the new vibe of December that will be welcoming 2023. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna get right into budgeting for the month. Normally, I do not go straight into budgeting for the month when I do my monthly reset. I'm gonna try to make this quick. So let me write all my stuff and I'll break everything down for the month. So stay tuned. All right, you guys. I went over this budget several times because last month I had miscalculated what I was going to make, and it had caused me so much havoc. I use a lot of my savings. Hold on one second. Let me turn my face back around before I start talking. Okay, so right here, which I didn't put it right here. Did I put it right here? Yes. So so how can I explain this? So I do my monthly asset review. What is this thing called? My net worth. I compare my net worth from last month to this month and the difference. And I also keep track of my credit score down here to see if it fluctuates. Just give it a little brief. And then I use this page because so I can know when it's time to update my sinking funds, how much money I need to take out of each category. So I use this to keep track of everything right here. And then I keep track of my income on a weekly basis. So when it comes to me budgeting, I just can't budget linear, like up and down. I need a combination of up, down, side. You know, that's just me. So most people just like to budget one way. I like to budget this way, including this way. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just a person who I feel like these are necessary details, but I digress. So far, if I was to tally up how much savings I used last month, 538.97. And I don't know when I didn't put this in here for one of the weeks that I take this out. Week 1, I gotta look at week 1 budget. That one gave me HE double hockey sticks, I have to tell you. So last month, out of savings alone, I almost used $1,000, 973.50, almost a grand. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? A grand. When I tell you, not only did I have to use a grand, okay, child support didn't come in as timely because of the holidays. That's one. And then number two, I didn't get paid for the 4th week of November. So just imagine you're not getting any income in and you're using your savings and you're like, thank you, Father God, that I have the sense enough to save for rainy days. Just in 1 month, almost $1,000. Just looking at that, just breathe. So I used that, and I had to use some of my savings because I miscalculated and I was so mad. So I quadruple checked to make sure that the numbers match for this month. And I was happy to pay attention to the numbers because this month I will be earning, you know what? I don't have my second child support for the month of November, the last payment for the month of November. So what I'm going to do, when that payment hits, I'm just going to accommodate it as an actual because this is what I'm planning for. Okay, that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to hurry this up. Okay, so my top priorities, I start basing things on my top priorities because of the simple fact that I've been debt free twice and I'm back in debt again, and I'm tired of playing the cycle of taking all my hard working money to pay off debt. What I decided to do is to put my money into skills and education so that I can get a bigger shovel, aka a larger income, so I can wipe away the debt. I just think that my money spent on accumulating more income is much more of a better use of my money than trying to get out of debt again. I mean, I think on my last video, I gave an illustration of what I've learned about it, and it just made me look at paying off debt as a priority differently. But my top priority is based on the fact that my first thing is first. I always pay taxes even though I don't like it. And because this month will be a golden month, I'm going to get an extra paycheck. So I am going to get $2,550 for this this month. I'm excited about that. I have $440.50 left over in my bank account for my monthly rollover. And I have the same usual child support of $650. I hope I don't have to use any savings. I probably still got cash left over, but I don't know. I have to see for myself. But I didn't budget for any savings or cash. The time I'll use savings is like, for example, right here, I am putting money aside for my renter's insurance. So if it was April when it's due, actually, I would note that I'm using savings to take care of my renter's insurance bill. I move this from the saving category and bring it over here for my insurance category because now it's a bill. Over here, this is just a savings. I hope that makes sense. So on my top priority, that is taxes, tithe, asset creation, my personal development, and my fun money. Okay. The interesting thing, you'll think, why would you put your fun money as a top priority? It is because the wealthy budget this way. These two categories deals with two budgeting method: the pay yourself first or the reverse budgeting method, and the 6-can method, which I'm not going into that, but that's the budgeting method I'm using in this area. The next one is my 4 pillars when it comes to savings: my home, my 3 to 6 months, my auto, my medical, and my rainy day. Then my 4 pillars with insurance, even though I think you also probably need identity theft, and if you can afford it, because the most expensive is disability. That's renters, auto, medical, and life. I have put money aside for life, and I have to find life, and I'm looking for a way to get medical. But I do have a medical savings. Right here, this is where I call my essential bills: rent, phone, and auto loan payment. I have it right here. So I guess I should tell you the amount. So the first box, the amount come up to $915. The second box is $225. The third box is $225. You know, just looking at this insurance, my auto insurance is almost 10% of my earnings. Just gotta soak that in. And if it wasn't a 5-week paycheck, it would have been about be 10%, but that means it's more than 10% than my earnings. That's ridiculous. Renters insurance, rent, phone, and loan, that is $470. Gym, Adobe, and Apple, I don't have any major bills. That's $85. And that's just my non-essentials. That's essential, non-essential. Essential expenses, which is gas, grocery, home supplies, toiletries, and miscellaneous. That is $630. For my non-essentials like eating out, family entertainment, my 2 daughters, that is $80. Renters insurance, American Express, Canva, Biz, car registration is $44. My future expenses, such as my kids' clothes, their birthdays, school supplies for them, their miscellaneous, like anything that pops up, like field trips and stuff. My daughter's contacts and my printer supplies that I use is $242. Is it? Yeah, $242. That's it? It seems so inexpensive. Yes, okay. And then lastly, when I got a whiff, I should have said it like a smell, a glimpse of my leftover for the month, I am quite shocked. It's true what they say: when you do budget, it feel like you're getting a raise. And I did not expect to have a leftover of $740.35. That made me excited because it's been a long time I was able to fund my giving account for, act of kindness. So once I saw that, I said I would like to give $40 to that account. So my monthly rollover, because I like to try to beef that up as much as possible, will be $700.35. And I pray to God, please, Father God, I pray that I did this correctly. I keep reviewing it, verifying it to make sure that this is correct. I'm looking over and over again. I'm just trying to verify I didn't miss any expenses from last month. No, it's all here, y'all. It's all here. I am so happy about this because I was so nervous because I had to use my savings, and I'm happy that things are looking on the bright side, that we are now getting back on track. It is a scary thing. So now what I'm going to do, now that we have went over my budget, I'm going to start decorating. And I think throughout this whole thing, I'm just going to go all the way through when it comes to setting up my planner. I mean, you can skip through it if you don't want to watch it, but I'm going to videotape it. And then once I believe I'm complete, then I will go over it once more to conclude the video. So enjoy. right, you guys. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This took forever. And let me tell you something. Every month, I take one weekend to prepare for the month. And sometimes I feel like giving up when I do this. It is tedious. Like, if anybody wanted to do this, more power to you, because I can't believe I do all this work when it comes to my budget. Ugh. You know, just to let you know how much work this is. So I started doing this last night, well, probably in the afternoon, because I start recording in the afternoon to tell you about my annual and my monthly, right? And then as I was doing this, you probably saw in my time lapse, I start talking on the phone, I start watching The Chosen. You know, I do things as I do my budget, because it takes me a minute. Like, I can cut out designing the page if I want to, but it's more fun when I see it. And if I'm in dire time, I will not do it. Like this page, I didn't even try to attempt to do any more with it. And it took a minute. Like, sometimes when I do the budgeting, I get tired of the numbers. I get drained. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? And then every week comes along and I'm like, man, thank God I did this for myself. I'm over it. I ain't gonna lie, I'm over it. And let me tell you something. You know how I said I went over my budget to make sure none of the numbers were wrong? Well, come to find out, I have this habit of switching numbers around. And like, right, for example, it's 255 here, and I had put 225, and I did that twice. So this is the only thing I hate about what I do, is because I have a habit of switching numbers around in my head. And imagine doing all this and find out that you calculated something wrong. Yeah, that's not fun. But I'm just crazy enough to want to do it. I hate when that happens. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. But I have grown patient with myself when I make mistakes, and I have compassion on myself. I am in the process of creating a Google spreadsheet for myself when it comes to this, so it can automatically calculate everything so that I don't have to. And I'm also trying to see how I could get Google Sheets to communicate between one another, so when I start assigning stuff to each other, I can do it in different tabs. No different here when it comes to budgeting my paycheck. If I calculate something wrong here, I gotta do it all over. So like I said, all my sheets in my planner, they can work independently by themselves, and they also work collectively as a whole. You can pick and choose what method you when it comes to budgeting, you pick and choose what you like to do. This is me personally. I don't know why I torture myself like this. Okay, I do know why. Because when the week passes by and I have a whole plan, it goes smoothly. It goes so smooth like butter. Everything is together. I had made so many mistakes on this calendar. Oh my gosh, it had been a mess over here. And then I calculate for each week. Each week is done. I highlighted. I even made some mistakes right here. When I tell you I had to do a lot of breathing exercise with this. You choose one weekend a month to do my monthly budget. But once it's done, it's done. The next thing I'm going to have to do is my monthly closeout. That don't take as long as this takes. So let me tell you how long listen. I started yesterday. I went to sleep. I woke up. I went to church. I helped my mother with her car. I checked the mail, had conversation. I took a nap. I reviewed what I have already recorded, and I'm back here. Like, a whole day had happened. So this is why I'm so happy I have a desk, because when I used to do it at the kitchen table, I had to take my stuff up, put it back, put it away, and take it up and put it back again. I used to hate that. I'm happy that I have a desk, so that if I get tired of messing with my numbers here, I just leave it and do something else. And I give myself grace and time and pace to do it. And it's so organized. It gives me peace and comfort. Even though I was frustrated and I wanted to quit, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. Like, who does this? Who put themselves through this? I do. I do. Anyway, I even went to the store yesterday when I was doing it. So I forgot to tell you that I went to the store. I got some water and some stuff, and I got some gas yesterday. So that's how much time went in between the time lapse. So I take breaks. I come back and I'm ready for the month, and I'm already liking the idea of, I'm already tracking my expense for yesterday. I have to go to the store today. So I'm already liking the fact that I'm tracking it. Why am I like this? Like, really, why? Like, when I told you that I set out to be a person who mastered the art of budgeting, I'm thinking I mastered it. So I think about my future self, and I'm like, future self, I love you so much. You're worth it. You're so worth it. I hope watching this video, I mean, like, sincerely, if you want to be a mad person like me, this is blasphemy. This is madness. Madness. This is Sparta. That's my favorite movie line. So this is crazy that I do this. And every time I do it and I get frustrated and I breathe and I go through it, I said, I can't believe you just did this. Like, listen. When I tell you I know how to budget for the month, I know how to budget for the year, I know how to budget by paycheck, pay week, I know how to budget now by the day. I think I have mastered the art of budgeting. I'm officially a budget master. That's it. No one gonna take that away from me. All right, you guys. I have to go to the store. Enjoy this video and you have learned from this video. This video probably gonna be an hour long. If you have learned from this video, you enjoyed this video, please comment below. If you have learned anything from me, please let me know what you have taken away from this video. And if you have stayed to the very end, please give me at least 2, 3, 4 hearts. It's not like I wouldn't be doing this without recording. I do it if I record or not. So I just did it just in case, like, if anybody would learn anything from how I budget. But so please comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Until next time, you guys, bye-bye, take care.